Hello everyone, and
Welcome.
In this new episode of Paranormal Thread, today we will see together the history and legends around the Father's Cemetery.
Père Lachaise Cemetery is surely one of the best known for the stars who rest there. Whether it is Molière, Chopin, Piaf, or Jean de La Fontaine, there are many stars who are buried in the Père Lachaise Cemetery. However, the tranquility of this cemetery is regularly disturbed by very strange visitors. The first is the ghost of the White Lady. He has the power to lure people to his grave before driving them mad. It would be the Countess d'Amadov who, by will, would have bequeathed her entire fortune to a person who would have been able to live by her side for a whole year. 3 men would have tried since his death, and all 3 men would have gone mad. The second legend is the ghost of the man with the broken heart. It would be a ghost from the 19th century.
Would walk near the construction alley. In this alley, we can find Princess Créron, a former actress very well known of the Comédie Française who, during her lifetime, had been harassed by a man who absolutely wanted to marry her. She even committed suicide because she refused to marry him. According to this legend, her ghost would still be there to protect her today from all malicious people who would want to harm her.
But the most famous legend in the Père Lachaise Cemetery remains that of the famous rock singer Jim
Morrison missing.
In 1971, many reported seeing or hearing Jim Morrison directly in Père Lachaise Cemetery, with the most intriguing testimony. In 1997, a Jim Morrison fan reportedly came to the cemetery with a group of friends to take a souvenir photo in front of Jim Morrison's grave. And when he goes to show this picture to one of his assistants on his way home from
Travel.
he will make a very strange discovery in the background of this image. We can see a silhouette dressed in white with a kind of leather pants. And that would look strangely like Jim Morrison looking well there silhouette. It is true that you can see some kind of person in the background dancing in leather pants.
In addition, he and his friend are persuaded and will claim that there was no one other than them when the photo was taken. So they will send the negative to experts so they can be analyzed and they can prove that the photos are not faked. In the early 2000s, the technologies for rigging a photo were not as advanced as they are today, and would not allow to obtain a result as intriguing as this. The results of the experts will therefore not only show that the photos are not faked, but that in addition to that, there is a strong resemblance to the star Jim Morrison. Since this famous story, the testimonies of the ordeal will accumulate in the cemetery. Many people will say they hear voices or see shadows walking directly in the cemeteries, but with them.
Technologies.
Which currently exist. It is hard to find testimonies from people as intriguing and truthful as this one. Jesse Greathouse was a 17-year-old boy. He was on vacation in Savannah, Georgia, USA.
He spent his holidays with his parents and 2 sisters.
To spend Christmas with his aunt.
His parents had the brilliant idea to visit Colonel Park Cemetery, known as one of the oldest cemeteries.
Founded in the United States in 1950.
The entire family was engaged in exploring the cemetery when Jesse's mother made a request.
Take the camera.
And of
Have fun filming whatever it is.
Jesse, an amateur cameraman, then decides to
Immortalize.
the moments
Oh,
filming some.
graves in the cemetery.
And that's when he is.
Filming one.
Tombstones? He will then see a strange apparition. It will freeze his Sion. A strange children's toilet seems to run between the trees before jumping into one of them and gradually disappearing. Shocked, Jessie tells her mother.
More.
Nobody does.
Go ahead.
Take therefore is in
Returning from.
cemetery that Jessie will insist and will then show them what it is.
I filmed it.
On the TV in the living room.
The whole family goes.
Stay in shock at what she's about to see and convinced that Jessie has managed to capture one.
Paranormal phenomenon. Nothing to have a clear heart. The Greathouse family will decide.
To send this.
Video to experts so they can figure out what it is. But the results will remain.
So did the same.
Mysteriously, the video has none.
Rigging.
But the.
Experts cannot determine what is.
What is this form?
And
If it's really a ghostless.
Images are considered for many skeptics as proof that something is happening.
Strange things in cemeteries.
and
That we better not hang around. And even if these images continue,
to leave.
experts are not present.
Voice, unfortunately.
The strange silhouette.
He never appeared again. However, they are very...
Many investigators are.
They go to the scene after Jessie's testimony. In the
To record either visually or audibly.
the voice of the child, and perhaps someday it shall appear once more.
On the island of Barbados, an island neighboring Martinique, where we could find a family who lived through hell, it would be more than 200 years since the family cabin would be empty. She would have passed macabre paranormal phenomena inside. It all began in 1808, when the Chase couple decided to buy a family vault, as was often the case at the time. This purchase will follow a very sad event, as they have just lost their daughter, aged only 2 years. 4 years later, unfortunately, they will be forced to reopen the vault. They will lose their second daughter, and a month later, it will be the father's turn to follow them and join them in the family vault. A fatal and dark fate, without wanting to harass the family. But the nightmare was just beginning. When the vault was opened to place the father who had just died, they would have found the grave of the 2 little girls completely turned upside down if someone had thrown them against the walls. A frightening and intriguing mess. Because there's no sign of forced entry. In addition, the one and only entrance is blocked by a stone of more than 500 kilos. After father's burial, the tomb will then be sealed and impenetrable to prevent anyone from coming back to disturb the dead. However, the years that will follow at each funeral, it will be the same spectacle. The graves will be found completely turned upside down, as if they had been thrown against the walls. People will then be hired to try to understand what can happen. They will study the phenomenon and define different hypotheses based on their research. A family member could have be possessed by an ancient demonic entity, and despite their research, they will not be able to give real explanations. In 1819, it will be a new death, and the phenomenon will take on such magnitude that the governor in person will move to see if something has happened and try to find a solution. And indeed, once again, when the vault will be opened, the phenomenon will be reproduced. The governor will order them to cover the entire ground with fine sand to obtain footprints. Then the vault door will be sealed again. They will wait more than a year before reopening the vault. And at the time, the phenomenon will make a lot of talk about him. So much so that there will be many soldiers and half the village that will be present to try to see the phenomenon and explain it rationally. But when you open the vault, again and again, the coffins are messy, yet there is no trace on the floor. Many researchers will even try to reproduce the phenomenon without ever succeeding in understanding how this is possible and how it can happen on its own. While the vault remains sealed, many designs will be realized, but no rational explanation will ever be given. And in 1820, the phenomenon became so widespread that the governor took a radical decision. He asked that the coffins be removed from the vault so that the phenomena stop. And since that day, the Chase vault has been abandoned. He will never reveal his last secret. This is the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to tell me in the comments, and if you have other topics like that you want me to deal with in my next videos. If you are interested in muting legends, you can go see my other episodes. You can like, share, and subscribe, but we'll see you in the next video. Who was Coinfire? Peace out.